guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 73. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk about painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 ADPs a week and you stream every single night. How could you possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week we got new Kill Team stuff, we got new Joey Toy action figures, and we got some new heads. First off, I want to talk about something a little bit serious, something that's been going on with me. As some of you may know, I have dogs. I've got 2 little puppers, and they're great. But recently, they have been driving me crazy. They're just restless. I feed them, I take them for walks, I play with them, but they will just not leave me alone. And so I've been looking for something to keep them occupied while I work, and so I introduced them to today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. They got really excited when I told them that it was a AAA gaming experience they could keep right in their furry little pockets. I know they'll be entertained summoning champions at the portal, scrolling through their collection of heroes, assembling them into teams, and heading out into the campaign to test their might against legions of warriors and monsters. I know my dogs will be leaving me alone this month because Raid Shadow Legends has a ton of unique events scheduled. And while I'm painting, they'll be taking part in Forge Pass Season 3 and trying out all the new champions. I know my Yoda was particularly excited for the new skins of the Dark Elves, Madame Saris, a level 60 support character with a spooky scary theme. And my Pumpkin is excited for Death Knight becoming a legendary champion. Ultimate Death Knight looks like it's going to be epic. It's a great time to raid into Raid Shadow Legends. New players like my dogs can use my link or scan the QR code on the screen to get a free starter pack worth almost $30. A free champion Tyrell, and also this cool in-game loot. You will find these rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days only, so download Raid Shadow Legends for yourself or your furry friends. So getting into the good stuff, the new Kill Team box. And we've been getting these boxes quarterly, they've been coming out, and so, each one has been interesting and unique and different, but I feel like my excitement per box has been on a little bit of a decline. We just know what to expect. It's gonna be, one probably new thing, one kind of reimagining of an old thing, and then some terrain that Games Workshop scraped out of their warehouse. But the new box, Kill Team Into the Dark. Intense boarding actions in the 41st millennium. This box is really, really, really cool. Much like the depths of a Space Hulk, the next box set for Kill Team has so far been a bit of a mystery. We know it features the Krutkin band rucking with the Imperial Navy on an ancient derelict in deep space, but we've so far been kept, one might say, in the dark. The joke there, they did a joke. Not anymore! The time has come to take a big old gaze at all the lovely stuff you'll get in the launch box for this new season of Kill Team. So they're gonna consider every 4 boxes a season, which sort of makes sense because of some of the things they've included in this box, but it looks really good. It comes with the Imperial Navy Breachers and the Krut, which they have already shown off, and they look super good. I absolutely love them. The Imperial Navy, nobody saw it coming. They're super cool. I like them a lot. They're weird diving bell uniforms and Cylon helmets. I like them a lot. And they're just big, giant lead boots. It's super, super cool. And the Krut are amazing too. Everything about the models are really, really cool. But we've finally gotten a good look at the terrain, and it's kind of like minimized Zone Mortalis, which I've always wanted to play Zone Mortalis. It looks like a really, really fun way to do it. But the only way to do it, there's been a few MDF kits that are fairly reasonably priced, and then obviously the Forge World, the real stuff, and it's unbelievably expensive. It's like, hey, do you want one 3-inch wall section for like $40? But this box, the terrain looks amazing. It looks like it's gonna be super modular. It's hard to tell exactly how they're gonna fit together. It looks like they might like pinch fit, but I wonder if there's gonna be they're not gonna have it be magnet ready, but I wonder if it would be super easy to hide some magnets in there just so that it's super easy to make a new maze for every single time you play the game. Also with this new Zone Mortalis style of terrain, it looks a lot more board gamey, which actually makes it look a lot more fun. Like with Kill Team, the most important thing is terrain and how you set up the terrain and what terrain you use, because if you use too little terrain or terrain with too many vantage points or terrain with too much small things or way too little small incidental terrain, the game can become incredibly one-sided really fast. But I feel like with this style of terrain, I feel like it's gonna be more even and more interesting, especially without things like vantage points. Because presumably there's a ceiling and you're not allowed to like hop over walls. And so you're literally walking around, twisting corridors. The board is not tan sand. We're done with tan sand. I'm so happy. This box looks so cool. The terrain looks gorgeous. The board looks gorgeous. The models are gorgeous. This box, I'm really excited. I feel like it's gonna play really differently. It'll be interesting. Usually what they've done with the boxes is every time they come out with a new terrain rule, just a really simple rule. Octeris probably had the best one with the junk piles, where you can move from one side of a junk pile to another by spending your movements. That plays really well in the game. The other ones are a little bit more situational, like extra high vantage point for Chalnath. But I wonder, these will probably have more rules. Although I hope they don't. I hope they almost have less rules. Like I hope it's just, yeah, you can't go through walls and you can't go over walls, but otherwise the terrain rules stay exactly the same. Because I feel like the terrain rules as they exist now function. They're a little wordy, and Games Workshop has written them very wordy, like to an annoying degree. And things become really annoying when the terrain is interacting with each other. Like, okay, I have cover from obscuring terrain, but I'm also sort of getting cover from light terrain. And does that mean that I'm obscured and you can't shoot me? Or does that mean that I'm under light cover? Does the light cover supersede this cover? I'm more than 2 inches away from the obscuring and that matters. It's a little cumbersome. And so I feel like this type of terrain will really kind of minimize that. And I really like the way it all looks together. It looks very board gamey, which I feel like makes it look way more inviting. Like I've taught Kill Team to a few people and it sucks because I start to explain and explain and explain and explain, and I can hear the words that I'm saying and I can see the look on their face as they're like, yeah. And it becomes a little bit of a mess. And it's always down to the terrain, really. Of like, well, you can't do this and you can't do that, but you can do this and you can't do that. And you kind of really have to get into the game before it all starts to click into place. It's a great game. I love Kill Team 2, but the terrain is tough. And I really like the way this looks. And it looks like the doors open on a hinge. So you're gonna go and you're gonna open your little door and then move your little breacher through the door. I love it so much. It looks so cool. The interesting thing, this is the 5th box, and so it's the start of a new 4-box season, and so this box comes with the core rulebook, dice, movement templates, and the secondary objective cards, and tokens, which probably means it's gonna cost a little more. And the other interesting thing about all these Kill Teams boxes is the price has been going up and up and up and up with every single release, kind of significantly. To the point where the first expansion box was like $150, and the last expansion box was $210. And so, what are they gonna charge for this box? Because the original Octeris was $200, but it came with really good orc terrain and the rule book and all the things you needed. Are they gonna sell this box for $200? Because it's basically the exact same box as Octeris. It seems, there's been a price hike and there's precedent for them charging more money. So is it gonna be like $300? Like, are we gonna see a $100 increase even though this is kind of the exact same box they sold to us a year ago? It'll be interesting to see. I could feel maybe $1 or $250. $250 would be like, God, I don't want to say acceptable, but like $250 would be like, okay, I get it, price hike, I can see that. $300 would be craziness, but they did charge $300 for the Necromunda kit that came out not that long ago that didn't really feel like it came with all that much stuff, the Ash Wastelands box, so there's precedent for that too for a $300 box. But then they came out with the 30K box, which had like 60 miniatures in it for $300, and that actually felt like a pretty good deal because you literally got a humongous army with 40 tactical Marines. So I have no idea. Place your bets in the comments below what the price of this box is gonna be and how bad it's gonna hurt. But man, it's a pretty sick box. The Kroot are amazing. I like the new Kroot Hounds. The two Kroot Hounds actually look a little different from each other. It's probably just the difference between mouth open and mouth closed. But one of them looks a little bit more like a Kroot Hound pug, and then the other one looks more like a Kroot Hound, like proper dog. Oh, and the Kroot little bird, and the Kroot with like the giant gun, and he actually looks like a shorter, stockier Kroot. And so I wonder if like the Kroot that have to carry humongous weapons, like maybe they eat the Hearthkin, the space dwarves, to get little smaller and stockier and stronger so they can carry big giant weapons like that. Because of course that's the Kroot's power-up ability, is they have the same ability as Kirby. If they eat an enemy, then they gain the abilities of that enemy. Yeah, they look so good. It'll be really interesting to see how they work, because I think the Kroot are a faction right now, from the Compendium. I've played Kroot Compendium a lot, and they have excellent rules, excellent stat lines, but no damage. Like their guns are bolters that hit on 4s, and their punches are also bolters that are not that good. Like they've got everything they need except for their guns just do nothing. And so I bet these new Kroots are gonna be very, very similar, but that they're actually gonna have really strong weapons to help bring them up a little bit in the meta. And the Navy Breachers will be really interesting. Humans with armor and shotguns. I wonder if they're gonna be like devastating at close range, but maybe their firepower kind of tapers off the further away you get. I feel like that would make them really interesting and different from the guard armies that are currently out there. And they have a bomb squig. They have a little servo skull with a bomb dangling off the front, and I just love it. Super, super cool. It'll be interesting. It looks like they're on bases that are textured, but just the tiniest little bit of texture, like literally like a line is carved into the base to make it look like it's part of a ship. Which is kind of interesting because it's not what they made they're kind of on like a landing platform style base, but the board that this comes with is like just super industrial. So it's interesting that they decided to go that route with the bases, and not just like use like the Necromunda bases or maybe the Games Workshop bases that they have the texturing on them. Just kind of interesting. I'm sure that the bases are gonna come with that groove. Like, it's hard to believe that the heavy metal team just decided, you know what, let's just have a little fun with the bases and started like carving into the plastic. It's kind of hard to believe that they did that. And then there's no, but those little piles are definitely sand. Those are not a plastic part. Maybe they are gonna be completely normal bases, and the design team just had a little bit of extra fun making them look a little industrial. Interesting. Yeah, it's weird, but this box looks amazing. I can't wait to play with it, assuming that it's not $300. Oh, it looks really, really cool. I'm excited. I'm excited for this new season of Kill Team. And presumably every Kill Team box is gonna come with more of this modular terrain. And maybe by the end of next year, it'll be like we're playing real Space Hulk and not with cardboard tiles, but with like real walls and stuff. It looks really cool. But speaking of things that are just as cool, we got some new 30K heads, and these heads have turned heads. The new Space Wolf heads. Heresy Thursday, new treats for well-behaved Space Wolves. They've shown off the new 30K Horus Heresy heads for the Mark 6 Marines, and they're literally wolves. Which, like, yes, the Space Wolves have wolf in the name, but they're not like literally wolves like they are in 30K or in 40K. They're more like, they're called the Space Wolves because they're like super violent and aggressive. But this pack has wolf heads, and it's not unprecedented The Space Wolf box that you can buy for $40K, it does come with one just wolf head helmet. And so this is kind of an interesting nod to like, where did that helmet come from? Well, it came from back in the 30K days when there were Space Wolf helmets. But, you know, whereas a lot of the other Legion heads are like kind of simple and interesting and just look good and would probably look good scattered, put on every single model, I feel like it would be weird if all Space Wolves were like literally furries with cute little ears and a little cute nosy. Like, I don't know. Space Wolves aren't literally wolves. Although I think that these heads would be excellent if you want to do like a chapter, like an actual wolf inspired chapter, or maybe a fox chapter, because they kind of have the same face. And so maybe you want to give your intercessors these Space Wolf heads and maybe like a furry little tail coming off of their belt. Call them the Uwu chapter. That would actually be adorable. And I think it would work beautifully with these heads that are really weird. Like there's been like a lot of drama in 30K with the Space Wolf releases because there's always been weird issues, like the fur on their capes looked like bananas. Like they just did a bad job sculpting the fur. There was one particular model where the bolter was upside down for some reason. And I think maybe they thought if they flipped it upside down, it would look kind of cool, but it just looked upside down. But yeah, these heads are not helping out the Space Wolves and just the weirdness that is Space Wolves in 30K. I like them. I think they're fun. And I do think here and there, you sprinkle in one or two amongst your, 80 Marines that make up your Horus Heresy army, I think would look pretty good. But yeah, I don't see a lot of people loading up on these Space Wolf, literal wolf helmets. The Space Wolves were not the only chapter to get custom heads. The World Eaters also got heads, and they're excellent. They look great, which is even funnier coming right after the Space Wolf heads that are literally doggos. And then these are just classic. They look great. They got the weird horn mandible things. And the test model that they painted up for these guys that kind of have red cheeks, it looks really, really good. It's really interesting, I think, that the World Eaters kind of have like a pastel-y blue and white color scheme, even though they're like the most vicious, violent, evil Space Marines. And these heads look great. And they're not puppos. They're not anthropomorphized animals. They're just normal soldier helmets with a little extra flair. The Space Wolf helmets. I love them so much. They're gonna be a meme. They're going to be an absolute meme. I want to see somebody win Golden Demon with painting like a Space Wolf with like a full wolf loadout. The Space Wolf Tactical Marines actually come with a like wolf tail bits, and so you get the Space Wolf helmet on the head. You get the Space Wolf tail coming off of the back of the belt. You can do some really, really silly stuff, and it's all perfectly within the canon of Warhammer because the kits exist. But speaking of the World Eaters, in crazy, crazy news that doesn't feel as exciting as maybe as it should, new Khorne Berserkers. Games Workshop showed off a single Khorne Berserker, and it's good. It's very good, well sculpted, well proportioned, but it doesn't feel as berserky as it should. Like the original Khorne Berserkers don't look good anymore. They're like so crazy old, one of the first plastic kits Games Workshop ever made. But there is something about them. Like they wear leather gloves over their armor. They have leather bandoliers of bullets or stakes, or it's impossible to tell because the detail is so poor on them. They have helmets that look like they have these weird helmets that almost looks like a skull trying to push its way through, and they have like teeth. And there's just something about them that's like crazy and weird. And, because the Khorne Berserkers are supposed to be just crazy rage machines sprinting up the battlefield, doing crazy stuff. And this guy, the new Khorne Berserker, feels like a kind of a normal, practical Chaos Space Marine. He doesn't look, I mean, he's got the cool Khorne Berserker axe, and he's got some chains, but other than that, it kind of feels like you just put a cool head on a regular Chaos Space Marine body. Games Workshop does have a habit when they show off the one model out of 10, they do have a habit of showing off the worst one. So it's possible that the other Khorne Berserkers in the box do have weirder, wackier, wilder poses. But it's good. It's perfectly good. It'll look good. If you spatter a bunch of blood on it, or maybe make the eyes glowing wildly, you can definitely get some of that crazy energy back into it. But the guy they showed off kind of looks like a normal Chaos Space Marine painted red. Like the Chaos Space Marine box, I bought it, I put it together. It comes with an axe and a plasma pistol, and I feel like if I had that helmet, I could replicate this guy pretty much perfectly out of the stuff that already exists. Just doesn't feel as wild. I love the helmet. I think the helmet is awesome. But everything else just feels maybe a little tame for new Khorne Berserkers. I mean, is there something, would there be something to putting, because you can get the old heads for dirt cheap. And so I wonder if could there be something to putting the old heads on new bodies just so that you get that weirdness? I don't know. There's something about these new Khorne Berserkers that just doesn't feel as chaotic as maybe they could or should. Man, the old models are such a vibe. It's so weird. And I bought the arms from a bit seller and I lost them, but I wanted to use them because they're weird arms and the weapons are so old. I mean, they're from like 2nd edition that they have a different look. And I'm like, ooh, these bolt pistols, plasma pistols, and chain axes like would be great to put on some Inquisitor models, because a lot of the Inquisitor models are from that age, that age of miniatures. And so I feel like those bits would have worked, but I lost them. I don't know where they went. But yeah, the new Khorne models are normal, which I feel like is a problem when it comes to Khorne Berserkers. And just looking at the paint job that the Heavy Metal team did, on the axe, there's just a littlest little itty bitty bit of blood. Just a little bit. Just, you know, he cut off someone's finger. The entire model should be dunked. There used to be this fad of how to, back in the old days of painting miniatures, where people didn't want to buy the Games Workshop washes, and so they would get wood stain that you would put on your deck, and you'd take your model and you'd like wrap a toothpick, or not a toothpick, you'd wrap a safety pin like around the base, and then you would dunk the model in the wood stain and then let it dry, and it sort of kind of did what a wash did. I mean, it also gave your models this ugly bulletproof coating of material. It was horrible, but that's what I want from the Khorne Berserkers. And speaking of Games Workshop characters, there have been a lot of Joy Toy models that have come out, and a bunch that are going to be available early next year. And I've kind of been looking at this out of the corner of my eye and been like, yeah, those are cool. And I have the McFarlane model, which is fine if you want like a 8.5-inch tall action figure that's a little obnoxiously big and really kind of gummy and rubbery and vinyl-y. Where these models are supposed to be a lot better, the Joy Toys. And they have some really, really cool stuff. They're expensive too, which is a little bit of a bummer. For some reason, they actually sell squads of these guys. You can get a squad of Phobos or a squad of Intercessors, which I feel like don't, because why have a whole bunch of them? But then they also have like really weird, cool stuff, like Thunderwolf Cavalry, which I would never have expected, but it's pretty cool. And the Orc guys. They have all of the Orc guys from the original Octarius box, the Orc Commandos. And some of those models look really, really cool. The McFarlane Meganob kind of really bad. Like the McFarlane did a really good job with the regular Space Marine and the Sisters of Battle, and then the Orc and the Tyranid I feel like are pretty They don't really look like the Thing from the Thing. But all the Joy Toy stuff looks excellent. There's gonna be a Joy Toy Orc Squig Hog Knob on Smash a Squig. Oh my gosh, for $124.99. But coming in April 2023. Got some time on that one to come up with $124.99. But that model looks amazing. They have the only ones that tempt me a little bit are the Dreadnoughts. The Space Wolf Dreadnoughts look really, really cool. The regular Venerable is kind of my jam. I love Dreadnoughts a lot. If they had they have a Venerable Dreadnought, which I like, but if they had a perfectly normal Dreadnought, I think that would be something that I'd be really interested in. Also, the Joy Toy figures are, I think, like 5 and some change inches tall, which is much, much more appropriate for, you put it on your desk and you get to look at your cool little Space Marine or 40K character. I also have the Death Corps of Krieg, which is really, really cool. Yeah, the Orc Commando figures look really good. I mean, those are some of the best Orc sculpts that Games Workshop has made. Ooh, and the Chaos Space Marines. Ooh, and the Blade Guard Veterans. The Blade Guard Veterans are also a little bit tempting. The Blade Guard Veterans are some of the best Space Marines that Games Workshop has made in a long time, and I really like them. And the paint application is pretty good for the most part. We'll see what the real ones look like, because on the pictures they show off, there's a little bit of airbrushing, and that adds a ton. But on like the McFarlanes, they look pretty bad. Different figures, different companies, but if they really do have that really nice paint application, I feel like it might actually be worth just like buying them to have, as opposed to buying them with the intention of spray painting them and painting over everything. The Chaos Space Marines aren't that good. The manufacturers ran into the same problem that all wargamers run into, which is black armor. How do you make black armor interesting? Because the way they did it is just they molded it in black and then they painted the trim, which kind of, the reason that you can't really do pure black armor is because it doesn't really look interesting and you can't see the details very well. And I feel like that happens a little bit with the models. It helps quite a bit that these are physically large models. I mean, Chaos Space Marine is that big, but then this figure is gonna be this big. So that helps a lot, and the sculpts do look good. I feel like there's almost a more interesting story in how these figures got made than what these figures actually are. It'd also be interesting to know exactly how well these sell, because, I mean, the McFarlanes, I feel like little Timmy is not buying a McFarlane. I feel like people who are already really into Warhammer 40,000 and have a Space Marine army and think they want another little thing to add to the collection to look good on the shelf are buying them. And so it'd be interesting to see if, are these flying off the shelves? Because I'm tempted by some of these things, like the really cool Terminators from the Terminator franchise, or Arnold Schwarzenegger from any of the dozens of action movies. Like, those appeal to tons and tons of people who are fans of those movies. But these are appealing to people who are really into Warhammer and are also really into collecting high quality action figures. And there's probably a fair bit of crossover there, but I wonder if it's enough to justify like quite a few miniatures. These aren't miniatures, they're action figures. But yeah, it's interesting. I think they're neat. And I actually think the Aggressor action figure looks better than the Aggressor miniatures, because the Aggressor miniatures, number one, their poses is bad, where they're all kind of like lumbering with their giant gun fists. Whereas you can pose these guys so you can actually have them like shooting their guns, which helps a lot. You know what? I don't see it. I see Chaos Terminators, which look sick. If they come out with just a normal Terminator, I think that would make me pull the trigger. Just a little Joy Toy Terminator sitting on the desk, just looking cool. Yeah, these figures are very neat. Yeah, you can get a Primaris Outrider bike for $58.99. And it's just the bike, you have to buy the figure and then you put the figure on the bike. I don't know. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see, next year when these really start to hit the scene, if you'll see on like Facebook and Instagram people posting their armies, and are they gonna have one of these figures sitting in the background looking cool? Or if, it's weird. I'm sure they do market research. I'm sure they are planning on this hitting and doing the numbers that they need to, but I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical. You know, I'm not nearly as pumped for this as I am for the brand new Kill Team box. Kill Team turned down for what? That box looks amazing. And then these are just action figures. They're neat, they're cool. But I don't like them nearly as much as I like the Eons of Battle Patreon. Over there, we have a Miniatures Month Club. This month we have a bound demon who has a ball gag in his mouth. We also have one extra episode of Eons of Battle every single week. We have a live hobby hangout every Friday night where we all hop into a Discord channel and just chit-chat the night away. And we also have merch, link in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I can't wait for the new Kill Team box and to see the price that they're gonna charge me for that box. Whew. Thanks for watching.